A man disappeared when his girlfriend told him she was pregnant. 15 years later, he came back demanding his children, not because he loved them, but because they were the only children he'd ever have. This is the story of what happened when those children looked him in the eye and made their choice. If you've ever wondered whether blood is thicker than sacrifice, whether DNA matters more than dedication, you need to hear what these twins told the man who gave them life but never gave them love. Hit that subscribe button because this story will remind you that being a parent isn't about biology. It's about showing up when showing up is hard. There's an old saying in our land, "The man who plants a seed but runs from the rain cannot return to claim the harvest." Today, I want to tell you about Kwame and Adunni and how that proverb came to life in the most painful way possible. Adunni was 23 when she met Kwame at the market in Lagos. Picture this, a young woman with dreams in her eyes, working at her mother's fabric stall, trying to save enough money to finish her secretarial training. And Kwame, tall, well-dressed, speaking English like he had been to university, carrying himself like he owned the world. He was charming in that dangerous way that makes sensible women forget to be sensible. For 6 months, Kwame courted Adunni like she was a queen. He would come to the market every week, buying fabric he didn't need just to talk to her. He spoke of dreams bigger than Lagos, bigger than Nigeria. He was going to start an import business. He was going to travel to America. He was going to build an empire that would make his family name legendary. "Adunni," he would say, his voice smooth as palm wine, "you are the sun that will light my path to greatness. Together, we will build something that will last forever." And Adunni believed him. Because when you're 23 and someone speaks to your dreams in a voice that sounds like destiny, you believe them. They became lovers in the way that feels inevitable when you're young and the world seems full of possibilities. But then came the morning that changed everything. Adunni woke up feeling sick for the 3rd day in a row. Her mother, who had raised 8 children and knew the signs better than any doctor, took one look at her daughter and knew. "My child," she said gently, "when did you last see your monthly visitor?" The realization hit Adunni like cold water. She was pregnant. For 2 weeks, she carried this knowledge alone, watching her body change, feeling the morning sickness that confirmed what she already knew. She rehearsed the conversation with Kwame 100 times in her head. She imagined his face lighting up with joy. She pictured them planning their future together. Their child becoming the first fruit of the empire they would build. When she finally told him, they were sitting under the big tree behind the market, sharing roasted groundnuts and talking about his latest business idea. "Kwame," she said, her heart beating so fast she could barely hear her own voice, "I have news. We are going to have a baby." The silence that followed was not the good kind of silence. It was the kind that stretches like a chasm between two people, the kind that lets you know something has broken before you understand what. Kwame stared at her for a long moment, his expression changing from confusion to something that looked like horror. "A baby," he said, as if she had told him she was dying. "Now, Adunni, this is not possible. I am not ready for this burden." Burden. Not blessing, not joy, not the continuation of their love. Burden. "But Kwame," Adunni said, her voice getting smaller, "we love each other. This baby is a part of both of us. We can make it work." Kwame stood up so abruptly that the groundnuts scattered in the dust. "Make it work?" He laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. "Adunni, you don't understand. I have opportunities, real opportunities. There's a man who says he can get me a visa to America. I could be gone by next month. I could start my life, my real life." "What about our life?" Adunni asked. "What about our baby?" "This baby was not part of my plan," Kwame said, and his voice had gone cold, like he was talking to a stranger instead of the woman carrying his child. "I cannot let a mistake derail my future." Mistake. That's what he called their child, a mistake. "Kwame, please." Adunni stood up, reaching for his hand. "We can figure this out together. The baby doesn't have to stop your dreams. Maybe we can even go to America together. As a family." He pulled his hand away from hers like her touch burned him. "Family?" He shook his head. "Adunni, you are a good woman, but you are dreaming. I am going to do great things. I cannot be tied down by this situation. This situation has a name, Adunni said, and for the first time, her voice had steel in it. This situation is your child. Then handle it, Kwame said. Handle the situation. I have to go. He walked away that day and never came back. For 3 weeks, Adunni went to all the places they used to meet, hoping to find him, hoping he had changed his mind, hoping he would remember the man who had promised to build an empire with her. She asked his friends. They said he had left Lagos. She went to his family's house. His mother told her she didn't know any Adunni and shut the door in her face. She sent messages through mutual acquaintances. They came back with the news that Kwame had gotten his visa. He was in America, starting his new life, his life without burdens, his life without mistakes, his life without her. At 4 months pregnant, Adunni finally accepted the truth. She was alone. But here's what Kwame didn't know about the woman he abandoned. Adunni was made of the same steel that her grandmother had used to survive famines, that her mother had used to raise 8 children after her husband died. She was made of the kind of strength that doesn't break. It bends, and then it builds. She moved back in with her mother and threw herself into preparing for motherhood. She worked double shifts at the market, saved every naira, ate less so she could put money aside for the baby. And when the doctor told her she was carrying twins, 2 babies instead of 1, she didn't panic. She just worked harder. Kemi and Kola were born on a Tuesday morning in the rainy season, 2 minutes apart, both of them healthy and loud and absolutely perfect. Looking at them for the first time, Adunni made a promise that she whispered into their tiny ears. Your father chose to leave, but I choose to stay. Every day, for the rest of my life, I choose you. And she kept that promise. For 15 years, she kept it. Adunni worked 3 jobs to keep her children in school. She sold fabric in the market during the day, sewed dresses for wealthy women at night, and cleaned offices on weekends. She slept 4 hours a night and never complained. When Kemi got malaria at age 7, Adunni sold her gold jewelry to pay for the hospital bills. When Kola showed talent for mathematics and needed extra classes, Adunni ate 1 meal a day for 3 months to afford the fees. When other children teased her twins about having no father, Adunni taught them to hold their heads high. You have something better than a father who stayed, she told them. You have a mother who chose you every single day. The twins grew up knowing they were wanted, deeply wanted, fiercely loved. They excelled in school, not just because they were smart, but because they had seen what sacrifice looked like, and they didn't want their mother's sacrifices to be in vain. Kemi became the top student in her secondary school. Kola won mathematics competitions across Lagos State. They were polite, respectful, hard-working young people who made their community proud. They never asked about their father. They had learned early that some questions cause pain for no good reason, and they loved their mother too much to cause her unnecessary pain. Besides, they reasoned, why wonder about the parent who left when they had the parent who stayed? Life was hard, but it was good. Adunni had built something beautiful from the ruins of her heartbreak. She had raised 2 children who knew their worth, who understood love, who would never abandon their own responsibilities the way their father had abandoned them. And then, on a Tuesday that started like any other Tuesday, their past came driving up to their present in a black Mercedes-Benz. Adunni was at her fabric stall, haggling with a customer over the price of Ankara, when the car pulled up. In Lagos, expensive cars weren't unusual, but this one parked right in front of her small shop, like it belonged there. The door opened, and out stepped a man who looked familiar and strange at the same time. Older, heavier, well-dressed in the way that screams money. Gold watch, expensive shoes, the kind of confidence that comes from never having to count naira before spending them. But the eyes were the same eyes that had looked at her 15 years ago and called their children a burden. Adunni, Kwame said, and his voice was exactly the same too. Smooth, confident, like no time had passed, like he hadn't disappeared without a word, like she should be happy to see him. Adunni's customer looked between them, sensing drama, and quickly paid for her fabric and left. Kwame, Adunni said, and was surprised that her own voice was steady. 15 years of single motherhood had taught her to keep her voice steady even when her world was shaking. "You look good," he said, like they were old friends meeting for coffee. "You look the same." "What do you want?" she asked, because she had learned not to waste time on pleasantries with people who had proven they couldn't be trusted with important things. "I want to see them," he said. "My children, Kemi and Kola. I want to see my children." The words hung in the air between them like smoke. "Your children," Adunni repeated, and something dangerous crept into her voice. "Your children." "Adunni, I know you're angry." "Angry?" She stood up from her stool, and suddenly she was the 23-year-old girl who had been abandoned, and the 38-year-old woman who had survived that abandonment, and all the years of strength in between. "Angry doesn't even begin to cover what I am, Kwame. Look, I understand. Do you?" Her voice was rising now, and people in the market were starting to look. "Do you understand what it was like to be pregnant and alone because you called my children a burden? Do you understand what it was like to work 3 jobs while you were in America building your empire? Do you understand what it was like when Kemi had malaria and I had to choose between medicine for her and food for Kola?" Kwame looked uncomfortable. I was young. I made mistakes." "Mistakes?" Adunni laughed, but it wasn't a pleasant sound. "Mistakes are when you buy the wrong size shoes. Abandoning your pregnant girlfriend and your children is not a mistake, it's a choice. You chose yourself over us. Every single day for 15 years, you chose yourself." "But I'm here now," Kwame said, and had the audacity to sound like he thought that should matter. "Now?" Adunni stared at him. "Now? Where were you when they took their first steps? Where were you when they learned to read? Where were you for 15 years of birthdays, 15 years of school plays, 15 years of fever and nightmares, and all the moments when children need their father?" "I was building something," Kwame said. "I was trying to make a life that could provide for them." "By abandoning them?" Adunni's voice was incredulous. "You were providing for them by pretending they didn't exist." Kwame was quiet for a moment. Then he said the thing that made everything clear. "I need them now, Adunni. My wife and I, we've been trying to have children for 8 years. We've seen every doctor, tried every treatment. The doctors say I can't father any more children. Some complication from an illness I had in America. Kemi and Kola, they're my only legacy. They're all I have." And there it was. Not "I love them," not "I missed them," not "I realized I made a terrible mistake." "I need them." He hadn't come back out of love, he had come back out of need. "So you want them now," Adunni said, her voice dropping to a whisper that was somehow more terrifying than her shouting had been. "Not because you love them, not because you regret abandoning them, but because they're all you have left." "They are my blood," Kwame said, like that settled everything. "I have rights. I can give them things you never could. Money for university, a better life, opportunities." "They already have opportunities," Adunni said. "They have the opportunity to know what real love looks like. They have the opportunity to see what commitment means. They have the opportunity to understand that love is not about what you can give. It's about what you're willing to sacrifice." "I can give them wealth," Kwame pressed. "I can give them connections, education, a future." "They already have a future," Adunni said. "A future built on the foundation of a parent who stayed when staying was hard. A future built on sacrifice and dedication and 15 years of proof that they are wanted, not needed." That's when Kemi and Kola came back from school. They were 15 now, tall and confident, walking together the way twins do, finishing each other's sentences and sharing private jokes. They saw the expensive car first, then the man standing next to their mother, then their mother's expression. "Mama," Kemi said, immediately alert. "Is everything okay?" Adunni looked at her children, the ones she had raised and loved and sacrificed for, and made a decision. "Kemi, Kola," she said, "I want you to meet someone. This is Kwame. He is your biological father." The twins looked at this stranger who shared their DNA, but none of their memories. They looked at the expensive car, the gold watch, the confident posture of a man who was used to getting what he wanted. Then they looked at their mother, who was standing very straight, very strong, but whose eyes held 15 years of love and worry and sacrifice. "Nice to meet you, sir," Kola said politely, because their mother had raised them with good manners. "My children," Kwame said, and his voice broke a little. "My son, my daughter. You're so big, so beautiful. I've thought about you every day." "Every day?" Kemi asked, and there was something sharp in her voice. "For 15 years?" "Yes," Kwame said, "every day." "Then why didn't you ever come back?" Kola asked. "If you thought about us every day, why didn't you ever try to see us?" Kwame looked uncomfortable. I was building a life. I wanted to have something to offer you." "What about offering yourself?" Kemi asked. "What about offering to be present?" "I'm here now," Kwame said again, like repetition would make it meaningful. "I want to be part of your lives. I want to take care of you, give you everything you deserve. You can come live with me and my wife in America. You can have the best education, the best opportunities." "We already have the best thing," Kola interrupted. "What's that?" Kwame asked. The twins looked at each other, then at their mother, then back at this stranger who thought DNA gave him claims on their hearts. "We have a parent who chose to stay," Kemi said quietly. "We don't need your money, sir," Kola added. "We need something you can't give us. A parent who was there for our first 15 years, not just the years when it became convenient." "But I'm your father," Kwame said, and for the first time he sounded desperate. "No," Kemi said gently but firmly. "You're the man who helped create us. There's a difference." "Mama gave us life twice," Kola said, looking at Adunni with eyes full of love. "Once when she carried us, and again when she chose us over her own comfort every single day. You can't just show up after 15 years and expect to be our father," Kemi continued. "Fatherhood isn't about blood. It's about showing up. It's about 3 a.m. fevers and school fees and helping with homework and being there when being there is hard." "Mama did all of that," Kola said. "Where were you?" Kwame looked at these children, his children, but not really his children, and realized that all his wealth couldn't buy him what Adunni had earned through 15 years of presence. "I made mistakes," he said again, weaker this time. "You made choices," Kemi corrected him. "You chose yourself. Mama chose us. Every day she chose us." "I can give you things she never could," Kwame tried one more time. "You're right," Kola said. "You can give us things she couldn't, but she gave us the one thing you can't, proof that we are worth staying for." "We appreciate that you came," Kemi said, with the politeness their mother had taught them. "But we already have everything we need. We have a parent who loves us not because she needs us, but because she chose us." Kwame stood there in the Lagos market, surrounded by the smell of spices and the sound of traders calling their wares, and realized that he had lost something he never really understood he had. He got back in his Mercedes-Benz and drove away, leaving behind the same children he had abandoned 15 years before. Only this time, he was the one being left. Adunni watched him go, then looked at her twins, strong, confident, loving young people who knew their worth because she had spent 15 years showing them they were worthy. "Mama," Kemi said softly, "are you okay?" "I am perfect," Adunni said, and meant it. "We are perfect." That night, as they sat around their small table sharing rice and stew, Kola said, "Mama, do you think we were too harsh with him?" Adunni considered this. "What do you think?" "I think," Kemi said slowly, "that you can't harvest what you didn't plant. You can't claim what you chose to abandon." "I think," Kola added, "that the man who runs from the rain doesn't get to claim the harvest." Adunni smiled at her children, these amazing humans she had raised against all odds. "There's something I want you both to understand," she said. "I didn't raise you alone because I was strong. I became strong because I was raising you. You didn't just get the best of me. You made me into the best of me." "We know, Mama," they said together. And they did know, because real love isn't just said, it's shown. Day after day, choice after choice, sacrifice after sacrifice. Kwame learned that day that you cannot plant a seed, abandon it to the storm, and then return 15 years later expecting to find a tree that recognizes you as its gardener. The seeds he abandoned had grown into mighty trees, but their roots were deep in the soil of their mother's love, not his DNA. Remember this truth. Parenthood is not about the blood that flows through veins. It's about the love that flows through actions. It's not about who made you. It's about who made you feel safe, loved, and worthy every single day. You cannot harvest what you did not tend. You cannot claim what you chose to abandon. And the greatest inheritance you can leave your children is not wealth. It's the memory of a parent who stayed when staying was hard. If this story moved you, if you know someone who needs to hear that real love is about presence, not presents, share this with them right now. Hit that notification bell for more stories about the power of choosing love over convenience. And if you're a parent watching this, remember, your children don't need you to be perfect. They need you to be present. They don't need you to have everything figured out. They need you to figure it out together with them. As the old saying goes, when the roots of a tree are deep, it does not fear the storm. Adunni's children had roots deeper than any storm could shake, and that made all the difference.